Hello, I got kind of an easy one for you. That's nice, right? This one's kind of fun. Basically, the whole point of this lesson is to find distance between 2 points on a coordinate graph. But there's also a second goal we're going for here, and that's can we look at points, not really the graph, but actually the points themselves, and determine if we have a horizontal line or a vertical line. Let me show you what I mean. I'm just going to jump right into this. Okay, so I have four different shapes. Well, they're two different shapes with four different colors. I have blue stars, red stars, green diamonds, purple diamonds, and those are going to be pairs of points. All right. So let's look at these blue stars over here first. I have one here and one here. Do you see those on the coordinate graph? All right. Let's go ahead and list what the points are for those. Let's start at the top. Okay. So this first star right here at the top, we're looking for its x comma y. So x value comma y value. And if we look down at the x-axis right underneath it, we can see that it's sitting on the 4. So that's our x value. And the y value, we'll just look at our star and then look over to the y value. It's got a y value of 6. Okay. Now, let's look at the other blue star. It's got a x value, if I go straight up to the x-axis, also of 4. Okay. And a y value, this time, of -3. All right, cool. So we have those 2 points. We're going to use those in a minute. But first, is this going, if we were to connect these 2 points, would that give us a horizontal or a vertical line? It's pretty easy to see that, right? It's pretty easy to see that if I were to connect these 2 points, I'd have a nice straight up and down vertical line. Not too crazy, right? All right. Now, the last thing I want to do with these 2 points is I want to be able to tell what is the distance between them. Now, we could very easily look at the graph and say, well, let's count. Let's start at the top and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Easy, all right? But what if I didn't have a graph for you? What if I just told you that we had those 2 points, 4, 6 and 4, -3? How would you find distance from those? Well, first of all, if you look at the 2 x values, they're the same. There is no difference between those. There's no distance between the x values. And that's because this line is straight up and down. The only thing changing is the y value. Does that make sense? So how much is that y value changing? What is the distance between those 2 points in the y direction? Now, remember something before we move forward. We mentioned it when we were talking about integers. Distance can't be negative. Remember absolute value? The distance cannot be negative. So even if we were to calculate the distance between those 2 points and it came up with a negative number, we would find its absolute value, and that would be our distance. Distance is the difference between 2 positions. Okay? Keyword difference there. So I'm looking for the difference between those 2 y values. What is the difference between 6, right here, and -3? Well, the difference between 6 and -3 is the same as saying 6 minus -3. What's 6 minus -3? So let's go back to our subtraction of integers. It's the same as adding the opposite, right? So it's actually the same as 6 plus +3. What is 6 plus +3? 9. Okay. Let's try another one and see if you can figure out how to do that with this next pair. Now we have red stars. Let's start on the left. Let's find the xy coordinate point. It's sitting right on top of this x value of -6, right? And it's sitting to the left of this y value of 2. Excuse me. Okay, so let's look at the one on the right. It is sitting on top of an x value of 3 this time, and sitting just to the right of a y value of 2. Interesting. So is this, let me go ahead and connect these lines. Is this a vertical or a horizontal line? if I were to draw a line between these two red stars, that's definitely horizontal, right? Definitely side to side and not up and down at all. It's totally just flat horizontal. Okay. So I know that, and I'll get to that in a second. But let's find the distance. And this time, let's not look at the graph. Let's not even count. Let's look at those 2 points. What's the same about those 2 points? The y values are both 2, right? So there's no change there. And that makes sense because this is a horizontal line this time. So the change is between the two x values. I have one at -6 and I have one at 3. Again, what's the difference between those two? In other words, what's -6 minus 3? Well, I'm dealing with an integer there, so I don't actually want to subtract -6 minus 3. I want to add the opposite. So -6 plus -3. -6 plus -3. That's -9, right? So is the distance -9? Distance can't ever be negative. So what's the absolute value of -9? 9. Okay? Now look at these two different stars, these two different colored stars. Let's look at the fact that the blues, when you connect them, make a vertical line, and the reds, when you connect them, make a horizontal line. What do you notice about that? If you look at the blue points on a vertical line, the x's are the same. Vertical lines, x's are the same. Vertical lines, x's are the same. Vertical, x's are the same. I don't really have a mnemonic for that, but hopefully you'll get enough practice that it'll kind of just stick. And it'll also make sense to you. Okay? How about those reds? Notice the y values are the same this time. So with horizontal lines, y will always be the same. And doesn't that make sense? Because on a horizontal line, we're not going up or down. So y is never going to change. Whatever y was at the first point is going to be in the second point. Has to be. That's what makes a vertical line. Or a horizontal line. Same with a vertical line. Okay? We're never moving to either side. We're always just going straight up and down. So the x values never change. Okay? Let's look at these green diamonds. Let's go ahead and name their points first. Start at the top. It's sitting right above 0, sitting right above the origin, right? So the x value is 0 because it doesn't go at all. It doesn't move it all the way from the y-axis, but it is sitting on a y value of 1. Okay. Look at the bottom green down here. It's all sitting on the y-axis, so it's not moving in an x direction at all, and it's all the way down here at -7. Okay. They both have an x value of 0. They both have the same x value. So they're not moving to the right or the left at all. This is a perfectly horizontal line. If I were to connect those two dots, I would see that. And it really just follows the y-axis. It's sitting right on that y-axis. Cool. What's the distance between those 2 points? Take a second, see if you can figure that out. Without counting, could you figure it out? Because we're looking for the difference between those two. So we're just looking at the y values because those are the only ones that are changing. Is that right? 1 minus -7. In other words, 1 plus +7. 8. Okay? It's not negative, so I don't have to worry about finding the absolute value, but that's still what I'm doing. Finally, these two purple guys. Let's see. Let's start on the left right here. This one is sitting right there on -4 on the x-axis. Is it moving up or down at all? No, it's just sitting there on the x-axis. So it does have an x value of 4, but it's not going anywhere in the y direction. So it's got a value of 0 for y. And now look at the right purple diamond. This one is kind of covering it up, but you can tell that's 7 as a y value. And again, it's not going up or down, so it's got a y value of 0. I think I said 7 was a y value. It's easy to get tongue-tied. 7 is the x value. 0 is the y value. How far away apart are they? I'm going to draw a horizontal line between these two. We pretty much already can see that. You figure out what's the distance. Did you get it? Can't deal with y's because they don't change at all. -4 minus 7, okay? Which is the same as -4 plus -7, which is -11, but distance can't be negative, so the absolute value of -11 is +11. That's the distance between those two. All right? This is a very basic introduction to this kind of stuff, to finding distance between 2 points. In 7th grade, in the next course, we're actually going to be finding distance of diagonal lines and just kind of all over the place. So hopefully you get comfortable with this, and I'm going to give you tons of practice underneath this. Check out the links under the video. They all come with answer keys. So practice, practice, practice finding distance and determining whether these lines are horizontal or vertical. And once you feel comfortable with that, pat yourself on the back and then join me in the next lesson, which I think is the last lesson for this unit. So congratulations on that. Where we're going to talk about reflecting points. Okay, we're going to get reflective. So I'll see you in a bit. Good luck.